Hello, everybody. Does the mic work? Is the mic working? Yeah. So hi, everybody. Welcome to Poetry Live. Now it's really working. Poetry Live 2022. My name is Marina Kyriakou, and I'm the chair of the Village of Mamaroneck Arts Council. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you in person. We haven't been in this space together for 3 years. And it's just so nice to see everybody here, not on Zoom. And we missed 1 year, 2 years ago that we did nothing except circulate the anthologies. But to the teachers and the students, thank you for continuing to write these years when we weren't together. It really meant a lot to all of us, including, I think, the participants. So thank you for that. I want to acknowledge a few people that are special guests. And for one, our mayor, Mayor Tom Murphy, is here, and you're going to be hearing from him in a few minutes. And I want to thank the mayor and our board of directors, and above all, Nora Lucas, who is the trustee that sits on our council and advises us. So thank you very much, Nora. I want to thank Jane Dorian, who you will be hearing from as well. She is my co-chair in this event. It's perhaps one of our favorite events for the Arts Council all year, and it takes a lot of work from all of you and on our end as well, and I can't think of a better person to be co-chairing with than Jane, so thank you, Jane. I want to thank the teachers. All of you are so wonderful. It's a big administrative job. Forget the fact that you're bringing us beautiful student poetry every year. We appreciate you on so many different levels, and the work that you're bringing forward is astounding from your students. So big thank you to the teachers. And last but not least, we thank the students. I have had the pleasure, as always, to read through this anthology and to really take in your words. I'm so grateful that you're sharing the inner landscape of your lives, which is what poetry is and what it reminds us of each year when we're all gathered here to celebrate you and your voices. So thank you for being brave. Thank you for being creative, for doing this beautiful work, and we really look forward to hearing your work today. So thank you to all the students that are here. I want to mention Mary Louise Cox. Many of you know that she was the founder of Poetry Live. She founded it 21 years ago. It's really grown in scope, this program. Mary Louise passed last year in 2021. She was poet laureate for 17 years in the village in the town of Mamaroneck, and she was heroic in her community work, in her belief in the arts, in the literary arts, but all the arts, really. And she brought forth poetry to us every season, and we are here today, standing on her shoulders, and it's because of her that we're here for Poetry Live. So in memory of Mary Louise, one thing that we're all looking forward to is a poetry garden, and that's going to be across the street. It's the Mary Louise Cox Memorial Poetry Garden, and it's a beautiful space that we're all very proud of. We did this in conjunction, the Arts Council in the village did it in conjunction with the Cox family, who generously donated beautiful plantings and this rabbit that you have on the front of your program. The sculpture stands almost 5 feet tall, and it's across the street. It's a wonderful, whimsical piece, and we're waiting for a tortoise sculpture to come. It's on its way from Kent, Connecticut, from the same sculptor that created the rabbit. So our vision is for the community to enjoy this peaceful, contemplative, creative space that's right across the street from the Emelin and the library. And we're going to continue to do musical events there and poetry readings. So we'll be dedicating the garden on May 13th. Everyone's invited. That leads me to the poetry readings. The last thing that we were up to recently is that we designated a new poet laureate. Poet laureate is a great thing for a community, and we're very proud to have gone through a selection process. And one of my colleagues, Solange DeSantis, will be telling you what that process looked like briefly. And then our mayor will be introducing our new poet laureate. So I think that's it. The only thing I want to do is remind everybody, if you haven't done so already, to please turn off your cell phones. We don't want anybody's work to be interrupted. So, thank you. Solange.
Thank you, Marina. When the Arts Council called for a poet laureate, we said that we recognize the importance of the literary arts to this community. Then the boards of the village and the town approved the selection process, and we set out various criteria. So participating in this event, for one, for the new poet laureate, and championing the art of poetry and the spoken word, carrying forward the legacy of Mary Louise Cox, inspiring the next generation of poets and their readers, potentially working directly with students, celebrating local poets and their authors, and celebrating our cultural heritage in this area. We formed a search committee, and I would like to acknowledge and thank my colleagues on the committee, Jane Dorian and Elizabeth O'Rourke. We received very thoughtful, complete applications from accomplished local poets. Remember, the criteria was you have to live here. And the committee had a difficult job. We thought about Mary Louise Cox. She was passionate about poetry. She encouraged poets of all ages, and she even brought the literary arts into the Westchester prison system, developing the innate talents of incarcerated men and women, a task that particularly touches my heart. But what does having a local poet laureate mean to you young poets here today? You can think about that for yourselves, but I would say it means, as a community, we value what you do, that your poetry is as important as the football team winning a championship. It means that poetry isn't something that's far away. It isn't even something that's necessarily in a book, but it's about what you see and feel and express about this world around you. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Village of Mamaroneck Mayor Tom Murphy.
Good afternoon. Isn't it nice to be out at a venue? You know, I want to thank the Arts Council for putting this on every year, except for the COVID-interrupted years. I want to thank Trustee Lucas for being such a good liaison to the Arts Council, and she's here tonight, member of the Board of Trustees. And I want to thank all the teachers and all the students here. You know, I have come to appreciate poetry, and it has been an evolution. My first introduction to poetry, I was in 5th grade, and Sister Anna Veronica made us do poetry cards, she called it, and they had to be on index cards. So we did these poetry cards, and we had to look up poems, and then she said she wanted us to categorize them. So I did 2 categories, the short ones and the long ones. And she was furious at me. She thought I was kidding around, and I honestly thought I didn't know what she was talking about. But an appreciation grew over the years. When I got into high school, and I was lucky to be introduced to teachers who, in spite of me, introduced me to some of the greatest poets in the world. And you know, people don't go into poetry, I don't think, to become rich, to become famous, to have groupies, to travel around the world. It is such an individual artistic endeavor. I've always thought about it as one soul calling out to another soul. And sometimes 100 people can read it, and it only affect 1 or 2 people. But that's the beauty of poetry, is that it really does affect those 1 or 2 people. I remember the first time I had my heart broken, and reading, we loved with a love that was more than love. And that so appealed to my teenage, hyperbole. And it gave me solace for that time. So to all you teachers out there who introduce hard-headed kids from the west side of Manhattan to poetry, and you think it's a bullet that's been deflected, sometimes it worms in. And I have gotten great solace from poetry over my life. I read a poet now, his name is Peter Murphy. And he's an accomplished poet, and he's a cousin of mine. And he writes poetry that reflects the humor and the darkness that we experienced growing up. And he's older than me, and his experience was different, but it's so recognizable to me. And he strikes such a good balance of what it was like that, Peter, his soul reaches out to my soul in that way. And he's a man I don't even see much since we were kids, but I read his stuff all the time. I'm sorry, I diverted there. Mary Louise Cox, I think, got me on the first Poetry Live to read a poem which I actually recited, and it was Robert Frost's Two Roads Diverged. And I knew it because one of those teachers, Father Lux at Xavier High School, made me write it 20 times because I didn't do some other piece of homework. So this is also the evolution of Tom Murphy as a student, too, right? But it stuck with me. And I told Mary Louise that story. And to know Mary Louise, she was a truly beautiful soul and a kind person. And her reaction was like, "Isn't that beautiful that you took something positive out of that?" And I was like, I guess, she made me see what I couldn't see about that. To me, it was just a story about getting punished, but she made it into something better, and she was right and I was wrong. We're not trying to fill Mary Louise Cox's shoes here, because that would be an impossible task. She had a unique soul, and she touched so many of us in this community, and she made so many of us hope that we could endeavor to have a literary spark, to have something that endured, and that we could hope to help somebody else or touch somebody else or inspire somebody else through poetry. And she did it so well. But I started, when Mr. Collins, Michael Collins, who's going to be the new poet laureate, when he was proposed, I started reading his poetry. And it's so apropos that he would succeed Mary Louise Cox, because he's written so many great poems about what it is to be here in Mamaroneck. What a great community this is, and how our waterfront affected him. And I've had those same experiences on my, if any of you follow me on social media, I spend a lot of Saturday mornings by myself eating breakfast down in Harbor Island Park. Because if you live in an apartment, that's your backyard. And so that's my backyard. And your poems helped me see my backyard better. And I really appreciate that. And I look forward to you inspiring the children of our community and helping the children of our community along. And to all you teachers out there that have inspired all of these lovely children to do such hard work, such soul-searching work, please keep it up. The world needs more poetry. Thank you all. Mr. Collins, please, sir.
It's disconcerting to be doing public speaking without my couch. I'll try. Thank you, Mayor Murphy, and thank you to the selection committee, especially Solange and Marina, who took the time to interview me and then recommended me anyway. And to the boards of trustees of the village and town of Mamaroneck for having me. And to all of the teachers, administrators, and municipal leaders who did all the actual work for this great event to take place. Thank you. I was asked to say a few words to introduce the event, which might seem a bit redundant for an event that's already mostly listening, even for those who will be reading. But I thought I might make myself useful, which is kind of a big deal for me because I'm usually not, just since we're getting to know each other today. I thought I might make myself useful by taking a moment or two to talk about the nature of that listening. Let's begin with what we'll be listening to. I'm quoting here from Nobel laureate Orhan Pamuk, so one step up from me. He's not the current Nobel laureate, but still current. He writes, "A writer is someone who spends years patiently trying to discover the second being inside him and the world that makes him who he is. It is a person who shuts himself up in a room, sits down at the table, and alone turns inward. Amid its shadows, he builds a new world with words. To write is to turn this inward gaze into words, to study the world into which the person passes when he retires into himself, and to do so with patience, obstinacy, and joy. As I sit at my table for days, months, years, slowly adding new words to the empty page, I feel as if I am creating a new world, as if I am bringing into being that other person inside me, in the same way someone might build a bridge or a dome, stone by stone." This back to me now. But this is only the beginning, and I did promise to tell you something about the listening. Luckily for me, there are more eloquent people for me to quote. Here's U.S. Poet Laureate Joy Harjo. "When I began to listen to poetry, it's when I began to listen to the stones, and I began to listen to what the clouds had to say, and I began to listen to the other. And I think most importantly for all of us, then you begin to learn and listen to the soul of yourself in here, which is also the soul of everyone else." Notice how the listening, in being the point of realization for the soul's speech, is paradoxically also the beginning. This is true whether one intends to write their own poetry or to participate as a truly present audience. The listening is integral to the process. The poet John Keats, who sadly lived in pre-laureate times, wrote famously, "Call the world, if you please, the veil of soul-making. Then you'll find out the use of the world." So no pressure, but a lot is riding on this afternoon. The soul-making aspect of creative writing takes place when the worlds of those other beings, which I'm air quoting because that's Pamuk, not me, within us are crafted into their own worlds, so strange to our daily lives that we could hear them compared to the stories of stones and clouds. Yet this soul-making takes place as well when those words are received into our own, when those worlds, are received into our own to challenge, inspire, revision, and recreate it. This is the call and the purpose of our listening today, and I look forward to my part in it. We'll be working here on a lot of poetry programming in the next few months for everyone of various ages and affinities, regardless of previous experience. So if you're interested, maybe you'll find me afterward and say hi. I would be the gregarious one, but there's a lot more of you. And that's it about that. That's it for me in general. now's the good part because I get to sit down and do my part of the listening. You'll notice I haven't said much about the reading because that's for the poets. So I'll just end with 2 quick words of advice, which are read slowly.
Good afternoon. Hi, I am Jane Dorian, co-chair of this event, and I want to thank you, Michael, for inspiring us. I feel like you're our new poetry ambassador, and we look forward to the many ways that you're going to help poetry thrive in our village and our town. So thank you. In addition to our poet laureate, we have the good fortune to have with us some of our local poets. So first, I would like to introduce Melissa Higley. She's a teacher of writing at SUNY Purchase, and she is currently working on a manuscript for a book of poetry. So please stand, Melissa. And she brought with her her son Milo, who's sitting right next to her. And another local poet, Sarah Evans, a former teacher. She's a contemporary poet who has 2 books of her poems published. And she's also a member of the Committee for the Environment in Mamaroneck. And she's helped create, actually, the Marine Education Center at Harbor Island. So, Sarah, would you please stand? Additionally, we have Elizabeth O'Rourke. She's a graduate of Sarah Lawrence. She's a poetry teacher, a workshop leader, and a writer of poetry. In addition, she's a member of our own Arts Council, and she serves as a liaison to the Poet Laureate. So Elizabeth, would you please stand? We are indeed fortunate for this richness, and I feel that poetry is really going to thrive in our community. One more person we would like to honor is the memory of Dorothy Saraceno, who passed away suddenly. She was a member of our Mamaroneck community, and she is remembered by so many people who have talked about her and remember her performances as a poet and a musician. She will be greatly missed. Next, we turn to the rest of the events, the reason why we're here today. Honoring our student poets who have come here to share their original poetry. Each of our 5 schools are going to be called up one by one. Your teacher will introduce you, and when you get up to the mic, and you can move this somewhat, you should say your title, the title of your poem, and then, just as Michael told you, speak slowly and loud enough, and just be yourself. So, after all the students read their poems, we're going to have an audience participation event where maybe your parents or your siblings will have a chance to read their poetry quote for us. So that's coming after all the students have read their poems. Now, I have the great pleasure to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, Diane Sarna. Diane Sarna has been a teacher at Fox Lane in Bedford for more than 30 years. You wouldn't know by looking at her, she looks so young. So she runs a creative writing club in the school. Every year for the past 5 years, she's run a Young Authors Conference with 300 students from high schools all across Westchester and beyond. And she has very interesting workshops for all of those students for the whole day. In addition, she's the kind of person who will take her students away for a writing retreat. And they will go camping, and they will write from dawn to dusk, and then they will have s'mores around the campfire. And she said it's such a wonderful experience, and I'm sure, I told her I want to be part of that next year. So anyway, she is a lover of poetry. She has worked with many poets, and she will begin our program with grace, fun, and enthusiasm. So please join me in welcoming Diane Sarna. Woo!
With grace. How many of you have ever worried about tripping up the stairs to get to a microphone? With grace, she says. Anyway, welcome everybody. I want to start by asking all of the students who will be reading, put your hand up high, really high so people can see. Yeah, see how many people, so it's about them today. I will not be speaking too long, but we have an impressive group of readers. And yes, speak slowly. Also, breathe. Breathing is good. And I want to just thank the families and the friends who are here as well. It's a day that normally you'd be, I don't know, maybe in your sweats in front of the TV or walking a dog or just trying to do absolutely nothing on a Sunday, but instead you're here supporting the kids, the readers. Now, guys, you're all published, so that's worth... Yeah, I know. They're all published, and they will be going home with a copy of this publication, which is pretty wonderful. Some of these poems are hysterical. Some of them are really serious, and some of them show how challenging the last couple of years have been for all of us. That's normal, that's healthy, and what a good way for us to get through. But to write it down and to share it. So you are so courageous. It's kind of scary to get up to a microphone, and you all volunteered to do it, which is pretty wonderful. And we're going to start with Fox Lane High School, which is actually the school where I do teach, and yes, it's been a long time. Matter of fact, I think I've been part of Poetry Live since my kids were toddlers, and they're now in their 20s, don't do the math. So we're going to start with Fox Lane. Now, when each school comes up, we're going to ask that all of the students from that school line up right here on the stage with their teacher, and then the teacher can come forward and introduce you one at a time, and then they'll step away and give you the opportunity to take off your mask when you get up to the microphone. When you're done with your poem, you can go back into the line until everybody from your school has read, and then you can single file, head back down for the next school. And I will introduce each school as they come up. So it's pretty simple. We'll make it happen. Let's celebrate. All right, so I'm going to ask that Fox Lane High School, would you please come on up and line up? I forgot about the elevator music. It's wonderful. Here they are. It's like a game show. Now, for those of you who didn't have their teacher enlarge and copy the poems, because I have bad vision, I don't know why they need them, but I gave them enlarged copies. But I do have the entire booklet of the poems, so when you come up, your poems are here, never fear. All right, but we're going to start with Kai Amuso. Come on over.
All right, hello, Kai Muso, as Ms. Sarna said, and this is my poem, Anxiety Attack. Anxiety gripping my throat, making me choke. I'm choking. Air still, making breathing feel like hot cement drying in my lungs. It's so hot, too hot. Face red, fingers fuzzy, tongue pinned and lips immobile, eyes glassy and ears ringing furiously as everything attacks me at once. The phantom creatures making me shiver, the damned chill running up and down my figure. Goosebumps. Time's still in this moment. Mind numb. Nothing makes sense. I'm losing myself to my thoughts, racing fast, too fast. Static consumes the edges of my vision, further plunging me into confusion, into restlessness. How much longer?
I have a great job, you know. I get to work with these kids. All right, and next we have Isaac Ham.
Okay. My poem is Seeing Alone, Being Alone. Everyone around me is an inky, shapeless mass, a crowd of silhouettes roaming the halls. I keep my head down in hopes that they will pass, so I do not have to hear their grating calls. I avert my eyes to avoid their leers, their toothy smiles fill me with dread, and when their derisive cackling echoes in my ears, everything is dyed in red. The crimson lights flicker on and off and on again. The muscles in my body tense, the bones quiver. My vision becomes unfocused, discolored, and shaken. My movements slow as though I'm opposing a river. The amorphous freaks can sense my vulnerable state. They converge on me like a pack of wolves to fresh meat. I fall to the ground and lash out in fear and hate, which does notably well in clearing out this fleet. But one breaks through my attacks and raises a bludgeon above my head. I can do nothing but wait for my skull to crack and wonder who will mourn once I am dead. With my eyes shut, I brace for impact. But there is no skull-splitting strike, just the chill of water on my head and down my back, a feeling that I quite like. So I raise myself off of the ground and my eyelids off of my eyes. I take a deep breath and a look around. I am standing in a puddle of inky black dye.
And next you're going to hear from Olivia Hodgson.
Hi, my name is Liv. My poem is called I Only Find Poetry in the Way I Love You. I only find poetry in the way I love you, but perhaps that is why I cannot move on, because every word is the shape of your jaw, and every rhyme is the smell of your sweatshirts. Yet I know there is poetry in the flicker of streetlights in the winter, when the air is so cold it feels like it should be snowing, and the sun is setting even though it's only 5 p.m., and the world feels soft. And I know that exists whether you are here or you are not. I believe poetry is magic, and magic does not only come from you. It comes too from the quiet of a school hallway in the middle of a period, when I'm walking by and I look into each classroom like I'm glimpsing into another existence, and I realize that life happens without me around, and I realize it goes on without you too. It's the way an old man still goes to the same coffee shop he went to when he was just a kid, and the way everyone looks so beautiful and free in the rain, and the way I have watched my friends go from the worst versions of themselves to the best, and the way you can drive a convertible along the California coast in the sun, and the way the world feels at Waffle House at 2 a.m. like nothing else matters. All of that is magic, and though I loved you with all the words of the greatest poets, I think I can love everything else just the same.
And next we have Sophie Liebeck.
Hi, I'm Sophie Liebeck, and this is What They Didn't See. They didn't see as she sat down to lunch with only a bottle of water in her hands. They didn't see as she poured her 4th cup of coffee, wincing at its bitter aftertaste. They didn't see the calculator in her head working faster with every bite. They didn't see as clumps of hair fell to the ground like petals falling from a wilting rose. They didn't see her. They didn't see as she took her 4th cupcake, then her 5th, the bag of chips, the pretzels, and the Cheez-Its. They didn't see as her handfuls became the size of a hill, her regret the size of a mountain. They didn't see as she longed for the control she lost more and more every day. They didn't see as she took her dinner plate into her room and came out with it clean just 3 minutes later. They didn't see her. They didn't see the lists labeled healthy and unhealthy in her head. They didn't see as she scanned the menu, reading the ingredients like they were a contract. They didn't see as she shoveled the plate of cookies into the garbage since she hadn't made them. They didn't see as she avoided carbs like the plague, getting sick at the mere sight. They didn't see her. They didn't see as she skulked to the bathroom after every meal. They didn't see her pockets full of gum wherever she went, always mint. They didn't see her overused running sneakers or her heaps of workout clothes. They didn't see her constant terror as her imagination ran rampant with the thoughts of the number going up. They didn't see her. They don't see countless others with silent struggles just trying to make it through the day. They don't see the invisible pain or the ever-present worry. I see it. I see her. I see you.
And next we have Jordan Lubinsky.
Hi, this is my poem, An Abyss of Shattered Glass. In the mirror, a girl transformed. The smiling, charismatic, perfect student morphed into a hideous beast of self-loathing and anger. Anger at herself and her emotions. Why? Why does she think like this, breathe like this, act like this? She looks down at her hands. Glass sticks out between slices of crimson. A thick pool of blood forms and stains the white tiles of her bathroom. The heavy scent of iron looms in the air. She looks up again. A million faces stare back at her, all of the different versions of herself in tiny pieces of glass, all of the parts of herself she hates, the parts she wishes she could rip from her own body. The hate that curdles, the endless thoughts that drown. She drops to the ground, eyes shut. She stands at the edge of a cliff, tears dripping into the abyss, an ocean of her own tears and insecurities. She wants so badly to take a step, to be cradled in her own tears, like the salt that stings the wound before relieving the pain. She wants to end the thoughts that plague and the anxiety that suffocates. The sky above is an endless blue, so clear and perfect. How could she leave a world so perfect? How selfish and thoughtless. Her pain overwhelms. The bruises of her past and the fractures of her faults make her double over in pain. She cries out to the beautiful sky and the harsh abyss before it all fades to black.
And next we have Ava Mack.
Hi. Like Miss Senna said, I'm Ava Mack, and this is Stacked Masks. Every time I get a bruise, I think of you. Somber cascades of blues and violets screaming for attention and care, blistering, bleeding, sanguine flushes of passion and fury. That's what you are to me, purely. I hope you see the kindness in this message, not contempt. You travel life's trail swaying through floods, cyclones, typhoons, but are seized by trees. Before we met, I was awestruck by your gracious facade, how you knew what to say, how to dance, and later when to cry. Your choking sobs saw mine, and our tears flowed together, an acrid, stinging, burdened river of mutual understanding, an instantaneous connection with an affinity for pain, prone to desolation.
I felt beautifully, calmly, serendipitously ill in your presence. I stayed afloat on our magical river of tears. Our union was intoxicating. I'd never felt this instant comprehension. I felt both freed and tied to you, shackled by my sole confidant, and I understood why only trees could conquer you. As beautiful, as ghastly, as flowing and effervescent as they are, trees restrain and estringe a wild soul. The essence of their being is found in their stagnancy, their immobility. This forces you into a frantic, frenzied state, and you run from any roots that could inhibit your precious autonomy. Your state of flagrant furor, your only mistake, the roots you're running from, are you. And I was stuck, blithely seduced by your careful kindness. Those who you've met once say you're agape, spread wide, an open book. Those who you've truly known say you're bound tight, your visage composed of stacked masks. And then there's me, and I don't know, and it kills me. All I want is to look you in the eyes, see clearly the pain, bloodshot of your irises, the consequences you bear, self-inflicted sacrifices in the feral fight for control. Ardent in your beliefs and satisfied by your dominance, you are a paradox, flushed by quiet rage and thunderous harmony. Dangerous, necessary. You are to be loved amongst shadows and lost souls, a secret yearning to be brazenly brandished. And I miss you. And finally, I do know. You are no monster, no bleeding, blundering curse, no egregious burden. My dearest, you are lost, and I swear I will find you. Thank you.
I was not as cool as these guys are when I was their age. I could not read like that. And we have one more student poet from Fox Lane, and that is Ella Bahari.
Hi, I'm Ella Bahari, and my poem is called My Broken Home. A daughter whose depression is declared far from mild, a father who's being battered by the words of his child, a mother whose imagination runs free and wild, a son who keeps his traumas compartmentalized, filed. Her bladed words stab him, his paternal guilt seeps out. His baby daughter holds the knife with no remorse or doubt. The thinning of his hair, the wrinkles on his face, all because of her lethal, cold-blooded phrase. As a baby, he would hold her, so tightly and so close. He bandaged her playground scrapes, yet now she cuts him the most. Profanity she screams, the door she slams shut, then crawls into her bed. For weeks she stays put. Behind the bars of her room and unforgiving mind, her history repeats, constantly on rewind. The bullies, the traumas, the fake friends, and more have bruised her as well, leaving her sore. One room over sits the mother. These fights she bystands one after the other. Watery eyes, but her composure is kept. When the mother prayed for a family, is this what she meant? Within adjacent walls hides my brother, the peacemaking, action-taking version of his mother. From his room, he hears the echoes, the house that shakes. He wants to fix this, but his toolbox isn't equipped to fix another heartbreak. He stands between the two forces, wedging them to stop. As the youngest, he's learned that living like this, no one ends up on top. A father with a bruised soul and a mass of regret, a daughter who can't sympathize, not quite yet. A mother whose household poses a mental threat, and a son who just wants to press the reset. Thank you.
A little more applause for Fox Lane. Thank you, guys. when I go to these events, sometimes the kids say to me, "You think they're going to judge us? Are they going to think we're really, dark and serious and scary?" And I said, "Well, no, you're just teenagers, and teenagers write about that stuff. It's okay." And so if you don't have teenagers, it's okay. It's all right. We have middle school. We have Rhinebeck Middle School, led by their teacher, Jenny Seal. Come on up, folks.
Hello. Our first reader for today will be Sophia Hall.
The River of Dreams. The tulips are ever still in the swaying breeze, the lifeful color in them vibrant as the day. The beauty of these delicate flowers never lost upon any man, silent as if to convey a story as young as the night. A ghastly blue that seems to go on forever never fading, surrounded by the glow of the never-ending reflective sky. A peaceful river formed by the power of unity and care, a picture-perfect image almost there. The lone flower that struck out like a shining star, only to be isolated by its elegance and refinement, a silence that resonated deep within one's soul. Rows and rows of flowers reflected a life ever so fragile, that even a whisper may tear it apart, piece by piece, the everlasting beauty of a place untouched by all but one, preserved for ages to come, the river that gave birth to the forest of dreams.
Our next reader is Maddie Rubenstein.
My poem is this oasis. With hue of robin eggs, it surges down, polished, wet rocks, water rushing. The robin song, a melody, drifting to the placid place, foam flowing under fuchsia, fish fins submerged beneath. Brown bear, claws cawed, scaly skin punctured painfully, flopping above the water's mirror. Fish held in triumph, easy trophy. Dragonflies dart with rhythmic energy. A robin nestled near the lupins surveys its domain, this perfect place. This oasis could never be perpetual.
Our next poet is Moran Schneider.
Dance in a meadow, dance in a meadow, find a flower, lead the way to a patch, finding a bench, picking one or two, having a snack, that's how I roll. Find a flower basket, create a bouquet, find a bunny, befriend it, play with it, in a flowery grass, feel a drop, ignore it, rain falls, rush into a building, the bunny eats your carrots, you smile and sigh, take the bunny home and honor it.
Our next reader is Catherine Merlos.
Magical tulips. Tiptoe through the tulips, but walk through the flowers. It's not as if you're walking with magical powers. Something's in the air that makes you not care. Not about me, not about you. Don't get caught. Watch what you say. You may shake me. Watch where you step. You may break me. Walk through the petals like they don't matter. My feelings deepen, grow sadder and sadder. I suppose it's okay, because I'm aware you don't care. When you look at me, nothing in your eyes, nothing but a blank stare. You keep on walking, trudging through innocence, crush, destroy, ruin, sever.
What was once a garden, delightful and full, now is withered, as if stabbed with a razor-sharp knife. Revel through the tulips, they don't mind, just as long as you give them all your attention and time. Walk through the flowers. If you stomp and devour, burning bridges by the hour, your devotion sours. Don't expect to be welcome to the dazzling garden flowers. They have restored their power.
Our next reader is Alex Young.
My poem is called Society's Downfall, and stanza 1 is directly pulled from Amanda Gorman's The Hill We Climb. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in the bridges we've made. The blade will cut down and society will drown, and the bridges that we've made will be the forest's glade, the protection from the evils that will come like the weevils, and the sun will gaze down at the towns broken down. And if we don't create bridges, we'll all be lying in ditches. We must banish our biases to create alliances. If we cannot carry out that bit, we should just submit to the command of the land of the eternally damned. Thank you.
Our next reader is Liliana Fauci.
Sorry, I'm a little short. So my poem's title is After a Day at the Beach. I looked under the drapes, the closet, the stand, even in my shoes, but they were filled with sand. In the swimsuit, the sunscreen, the basket, oh, just the thought left me in a casket. Near the chair, the ball, the towel, this feeling I had was just so foul. In the bag I was sure I had brought, looking for the new sunglasses I had just bought. For had they been washed away in the tide, my smile fell from my face with a sigh. But what's this in my hair? Oh my gosh, I waved my hands in the air. There they were, all my worries had been cleared, for my pretty pink sunglasses had reappeared. Thank you.
Our last 3 poems are very comedic. We're ending on a high note. The next poet is Lavana Sabane.
My poem's called The Perfect Outfit. I go into the closet to look for a dress. I try on the pink one, the purple one. Oh, it was such a mess. How about these pants that my grandma had just got me? Or this shirt that reminds me of the colors of the sea? I picked a shirt there and a bottom here, and so I put it aside where it is near. The next morning, I wake up for school, which I adore. I pick up the clothing I had chosen the night before. But when I go to try it on in the mirror behind the door, oh, what a disaster, my clothes ringed upon the floor. Mom, I demand, drive me to my favorite store. Should I spend my money at Nordstrom Rack, shifting through the clothing stacks? How about a cool blazer, a denim jacket, or even a cute backpack? Wait a second, is that snow I see? I get home with stacks of clothing and the traffic is crazy. Because of the cold weather, I will wear my beret. My phone rings and I am told it is a snow day. I hate the snow and I tell my dad, let's go to Florida, direction JFK.
Our last presenter is Siboney Oviedo Gray.
The title of my poem is The Garlic Cake. I whipped up the butter so creamy and smooth, crack 4 large eggs on top. Then 3 cups of sugar to tell you the truth. Mix it until you stop. I added the milk and the oil all right, squeeze in some lemon too. I'm missing something, it's a little too white, it needs the ginger hue. Now off to a different bowl where we'll begin to add dry elements. Sift flour the cocoa and salt so it's thin, mesh is expedient. Throw in just 2 teaspoons of baking powder so that this cake will rise. It's done, it's ready, I couldn't be prouder, I don't need to revise. The dough is peaking at the top as it swells, an hour to go, can't wait. The house is filled up with a sort of strange smell, ding, put it on a plate. I set it to cool, then I got out a knife, slow and steady I cut. I felt so exhilarated, full of life, my hard work paid off, but as I devoured the bite and did it twice, I became filled with dread. I looked at the label for the ginger spice, garlic, that's what it read.
They were wonderful. 7th and 8th grade. Give them another hand. Wow. Rhinebeck Middle School, awesome job. Thanks for making me smile. All right, so now we get back to the high school. We have Mamaroneck High School. We have quite a few teachers, and I apologize if I pronounce anything wrong, but students and teachers, Maria Fairbairn, Linda Sherwood, Juliana Zellone, Mary Beth Jordan, Michelle Viviano, Jennifer Spellman, and Hannah Kravchik will be represented by their poets. So come on up. Program has a different order of the schools than the published booklet, so don't be confused. It's okay.
All right. I'm Maria Fairbairn, but I will be introducing some students from teachers who are not here. So first to go are Emily Bennett and Harper Kaplan, Ms. Sherwood students.
The title of our poem is The Family Tree.
Its leaves flutter,
While the trunk stands strong against the roaring wind,
but it will never forget,
when it was just a small seed,
burrowing deep underground,
roots expanding like a balloon.
further and further until a family is created,
A tree shoots up from the ground.
now supported by its roots.
That little seed,
Not so little anymore.
roots so strong,
Roots so loved,
roots so alive.
Okay. Now Cypress Green, one of Ms. Zalon's students, is coming up.
So the name of my poem is Spoon-Fed. Spoon-feed me lies upon which you build your world of fantasy. It holds a bitter taste. The truth bobs in the waves until it drowns. Spoon-feed the artificial sugar of an idyllic existence. Watch me bend and break to fit the molds you have laid out. Your great scheme, your plan, your explanation, your deity for which you built your hallowed throne. The metallic taste of fallacies, rust blooming on my tongue, copper tang and acrid smell. The sickly flowers with petals outstretching toward a golden sun. Spoon-feed me the honey tales you've spun with stolen wool, force my mouth wide open, leave my jaw hanging from the grip of your hands. Choke me on the handle, watch me struggle to breathe against the metal. Watch my resolve shrivel at the sound of your harsh bellows. The sweet poison drips down my gullet like sullied rain, dripping and pooling in my blood until it burns me from the inside. The gaps between my bones become great chasms as your words become blunt daggers against my skin. The pain blossoms, but the blood tastes so sweet. So sweet is the candied lies you've given me, rotten at their core, teeming with maggots, smelling of death. But the spoon masks the taste of rot. The macabre dance upon my tongue, the twisted iron and silvery blend of metallic idealism, spoon feeding me until reality fades away.
All right, one of my students, Sophia Intravia.
My poem's called Why is a Crooked Letter? The white Christmas lights glow behind me, making me sparkle like the gold bows under the Christmas tree. My red velvet dress makes the tiny bow on my head, so small, like an accessory for my dolls. My mom behind the camera, smiling, proud of the outfit she picked out. I stand there, so innocently, with a face of wonder and curiosity, not knowing anything at all. I was such a curious kid, always asking why and how and what. Mima would say, "Why is a crooked letter?" And yet I still asked. There I was, sitting there so innocently, with a face of wonder and curiosity, not knowing anything at all. And now I wish it stayed that way. Now I wish that I could go back then, when it smelled like colors, when the world was full of rainbows and flowers and dollhouses and little cars that would zoom across my beige rug when you pulled them back. And that was the world to me, my world, and that was all I knew.
All right, and now Henley Evans.
This is A Feather in the Wind. Springs in Maryland are beautiful. The air is as fresh as the fields are full, the wind always in your corner. Yet on this day, some would argue that the wind wasn't there. It was on this day that we sat outside while the sun was at its highest. We pulled out lawn chairs laced with spider webs, the plastic bands yellowing. We soaked up the sun as if we were deprived of it, and talked as if we were deprived of her too. I didn't get to memorize her face, the way her eyes might squint in the sun, the way her clothes might hang on her minuscule figure. I only got to remember one thing, and it was her hair. It wasn't particularly styled in one way or another, but it was always put together and messy at the very same time. It was an electric white, if that could even be a thing, but I imagine it was for her. She sat in a lawn chair of her own, the very best in the house. It was white as her hair, with no webs to be seen, and she sat in this way, as if she were as light as a feather. It was as if the wind had gently dropped her in that chair. Wherever she went, this wind was in her corner, picking her up when she wasn't strong enough, putting her down when she needed to rest. It's that wind that I would say kept her going till then. It was as if it knew she needed this as her final push. One last push, one last gust, so she could see us that day. The wind picked her up and gently dropped her in that lawn chair, the very best one in the house, and she smiled this huge, beautiful smile. But I imagine the wind was gone by then, and that grin was all her. Thank you.
My name is Mary Beth Jordan, and your next poet is Endia Green.
I'm Endia Green. This is Window of Light. The sunlight beaming off the broken up and molding floor, beads of sweat streaking down onto the small carpet below. The door slammed and locked shut, a window the only source for viewing the outside world. This becoming a treasure, decorated with flowers the colors of hope, love, and happiness. This treasure a gift from long ago, but now meaning everything. The most perfect way to live, to see but not act, to be but not show. No more overwhelming thoughts of tomorrow or the future. No more thoughts besides the small actions of today in this very moment. Seeing the first droplets of snow in the winter months, the first fall of leaves. Feeling the hints of the summer months through the sun, the scorching heat, an important part of it all. How it seems that the waves of feelings seem to grow silent, the mind finally beginning to stop the nagging thoughts of the future. For the first time in what appears to be forever, the soft stroking and tunes coming from the rolling disc and needle. All is now right, all is now good. For some, this form of solitude, a life none would live. But this is exactly what is needed to enjoy the life that is so worth living.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Spellman, and Angus Queen could not be here today, but you can find his important work in the booklet. I am very proud and honored to present to you Autumn Carino.
This poem is called For Soul. For soul, I leave this piece here. Don't have to tell the soul not to forget the ruinous and which is really unforgettable. Have to tell the soul to embrace the untoward. Mistakes mean maturation. In failure, you learn faith. Accidents are purpose. Where you think it ends is where it is just getting started. Where you think you should give up is where you need to keep going. Have to tell the soul when you feel you have no one is when you need yourself the most. You should endeavor to be in the right state of mind for the soul. Do not let barricades be the reason you forbear from, but simply let the barricades be the reason you aren't afraid. Let the barricades be the reason you are sane. Let the barricades be the reason you have strength in the first place. Rough times are ephemeral, but the soul is not. Hard times will go to glory, and you shall be glorious. Cash in the chips of the unfortunate and procure resilience, robustness, togetherness, and the covet to keep going. Take your fingertips out of closed doors. Allowing those doors to close and stepping away will have a better impact of the soul than when those doors were open anyways. Handle what you need for the soul. Have to tell the soul what lies beneath you can administer more than above you. What you have broken inside you cannot be fixed, but healed and embraced. Only attend to the broken, hold yourself when needed, and the crevice shall heal to display survival skills, vigorous mentality, and morale. You should take every step, every chance, every choice for the soul. Though every move you devise may not be the best, though every moment you seize will not be held enough for satisfaction, though every choice you formulate will not lead you directly to the heavens, soul is all you need to guide you there. For soul, tend the soul. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to introduce poets Kate He and Janelle Husenova.
Hi, I'm Kate. And I'm Janelle. And this is Butterfly. I met a friend today. She had silky auburn hair and a warm smile that reached her eyes. They were glittering like specks of gold. She showed me a drawing, and I watched it unfold.
I was happy today. Someone spoke to me for the very first time at school. I showed her my art, a passion that I always kept to myself. She didn't leave me for anyone else.
One day, a blue reflection caught my eye, a friendship necklace behind a window, like a newly formed butterfly. Wings stretched wide, ready to fly.
She told me to cover my eyes and that she had a surprise for me. I felt something cold around my neck. When she told me she was ready, she had her arms around me, linking the butterflies steady.
She looked different that day. Her face was solemn with an invisible burden. When I asked her if she was okay, she told me she couldn't talk and went away.
Before, I didn't know who I was myself. When I looked in the mirror, I saw someone else. I had no motivation to do anything. I couldn't bring myself to ring.
The drawings on her walls were full of starlight and chirping birds. Then they were full of frustration and meaningless scribbles. What were they, really? Maybe it was just the wind that made me feel chilly.
The lines that connected to each other now collided into dark shadows. My drawings that meant the world to me was a way I could finally feel free.
She picked up the phone today. I told her a story. A young caterpillar and its friend. They hold on to their dreams to ascend.
We talked for a while, and she told me a story, a butterfly and its caterpillar friend. She feared that one day her friend would fly away, but in the end, she chose to stay. I'm redoing my walls today. Want to help?
For sure.
Thank you.
Let's hear another round of applause from Amerenek High School. Congrats. Imagine collaborating on a poem, how hard that is. And we heard a few of them, so bravo. All right, so our next school is Westlake High School. And teacher Chris DiPolito, I hope I said it right. If I didn't, I apologize. Come on up, folks. Westlake.
Hi, everybody. We're so glad to be here again this year. Our first poet is Emma DeLuise.
Hi, I'm Emma, and my poem is called Shelter. It was cold and harsh and violent. Rain pelted the ground like bullets firing from a gun. Thunder rumbled through the world like the roar of a million lions. Lightning lit up the sky to illuminate the dark void of clouds. That was the dark void of clouds in the sky that was once so blue. Bolts struck the ground with unwavering anger and an unforgiving wrath. Raging clouds of darkness enveloped the world in a thick fog of discontent. A cool chill in the air burned the lungs of life with a single shallow breath. The sun fought for life, but inevitably perished behind the vast sea of blackness. The wind whipped through the globe, vanquishing everything in its path. But here, it's warm and safe. Here, fire illuminates the room with a soft glow. Here, walls stand unaffected by the rampaging storm. A cozy blanket draped around my shoulders. Crackling logs cover the sound of the outside world. A warm orange glow fills the room with a wave of euphoria. I am blissfully unaware of the brutal tempest right outside my door. I could stay here for all of eternity. I am safe. The storm was long and horrid. If I were outside, I wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. But I was warm, I was safe, I was sheltered.
Our next poet is Natalie Dable, inspired by Shakespeare's Sonnet 18.
My poem is called City at Night. May I describe city at night, the feeling like no other. It gives all the buildings a flashing light, strolling around the streets with my mother. Sometimes the tourists create a traffic knot known as a city that never sleeps. All the cars parked in the parking lots, mounds of places to go and eat. Music in the bars blasting, starting to walk far away. Now we got the Muse Man casting, the growing flowers of May. Standing in the city I dream of, how could you not fall in love?
Our final poet is Dean Williams.
Hi, I'm Dean. My poem is called Contact. A diamond like the shape of no other, illuminated on a warm spring night. Nerves spring all throughout a child's body. He knows they depend on him. A skittish mother awaits in the next throw, repeatedly collapsing her hands in the stands. The child steps up beside the plate. He sees 3 other companions on the diamond. He knows time is dwindling. He knows he is the last hope. The focus shifts towards the one standing 60 feet away. His body also springs with nerves. He knows they depend on him. The 2 children stare at each other. Their interests are similar, not to disappoint the team. Yet one prays for contact and the other for a miss. The child prepares himself. He stands in a position for contact. The other child prepares himself. He stands in a position for delivery. The ball leaves the child's hand and is met with one thing before anything else: contact.
Let's hear some more applause. All right, now, this says Homix Middle School again. Just want to make sure that I don't have a typo here. Okay, so we had Rhinex. So now we have Homix Middle School, the following teachers: Lisa Ramos Hillegers, I apologize, Caitlin O'Connor, Karen Kane, Lorraine McCurdy Little, and their students. Come on up. little bit so we can see all of your gorgeous faces. There you go.
Hi, I'm Karen Kane, and I'm introducing our first sixth grade poet, Eiley Vasquez.
I'm Eiley Vasquez, and my poem is called Daydream. Shade from only umbrellas, sand stuck between my toes. Shoes, no. Lie down, the towel is soft, the sand is itchy. Summer. Although I wish it was summer, it's not. Cold breeze tickles my chin, turns my ears and cheeks pink. Little snowflakes dancing their way onto my hair. The raging wind sends shivers. I wish it was summer, but in summer I wish it was winter. In winter, cold air sends you hoping for warmth. In summer, the unbearable heat causes a need for cold air. Why can't we be happy with what we have? Why is it we always daydream about what we don't have? And when we have it, we still want more.
Our next poet is sixth grader Zelda Rosen.
My name is Zelda Rosen, and the poem I'm going to be reading is Water's Quest. The littlest droplet that falls down from the clouds does not use stairs on its quest. This little but important drop can save lives. This drop feeds the earth with happiness on its quest to give all it can. Now this drop reaches its destination, joining its friends in pools of happiness. Water now flows around, catching more drops. They all have the same quest, same want, to help any way possible. The drops, not so small anymore, travel slowly during golden hour and flow into your hands. The quest, short but important, has succeeded.
Our next poet is sixth grader Chris Matlow.
A poem from history. 1 second we are fighting for our country. The next second we are fighting for our lives. A bullet to the knee, trying to get up, struggling, yet there is no regret. As we bleed out slowly, we think of all of the memories and friends we made. 1 second we are fighting for our country. The next second we are fighting for our lives.
Our next poet is sixth grader Sarah Krolicki.
Hi, my name is Sarah Krolicki, and my poem is called Aboard the Midnight Boat. Tears streak down my face. They roll off my cheeks, warm and salty, into the sea. I hold them back. I try to stay strong. For them, for my brothers. Underneath the night sky we row, the dark waves crashing against the sides of the small boat. The moon, the stars, creating a painting reflecting off the midnight blue waters. I can still feel it. I can still hear it. The screams and the fear, everything that I had once endured. Even as I cry and run, even as I leave my home, my family, my brothers, we will make it to America aboard the midnight boat.
Our next poet is sixth grader Natalie Alvarez Perez.
Hi, I'm Natalie Alvarez Perez, and this is my poem, Civil War. In 1960, murder everywhere in my home. In 1960, everyone is scared to go out alone. In 1960, we don't even know who those people were. In 1960, all we found was their bones in the dirt. In 1960, dozens of people that stayed lost. In 1960, couldn't even tell their loved ones. In 1960, you know what I'm saying is true.
And in 1960, this happened in my home, Guatemala.
The next poets you'll hear are from the 7th and 8th grade, and they represent students from my class, from that of Caitlin O'Connor and Lorraine McCurdy Little. You're going to be hearing from Gray Hackett.
I'm Gray Hackett, and this is a poem about the soccer team Arsenal to my friend Jake. Jake, Arsenal is a big threat to you, because Tottenham is not doing so well. Well, Tottenham's good players equal too, but Son and Kane don't really ring a bell. Well, Arsenal has many great players, like Saka, Smith Rowe, maybe, Partey. Smell victory despite many naysayers. See the flag signaling a victory today. Has Tottenham done so well in the Prem, with 2 wins next to Arsenal's 13? We all know they've been dragged through the creme. Well, Arsenal's great with a glorious sheen. Yes, Arsenal is only in 6th place, but Arsenal can still win the great race.
The next poet is Danielle Kravitz.
Hi, I'm Danielle, and my poem doesn't have a name because I like to leave it up to interpretation. One must have a mind of the universe to regard the occasional blood-red sky of the moon on unlucky days, and have been awake a long time to behold the orbits at night, each distant star bright against black, of the midnight glow, and to stop thinking of any breaking in the sound of the wind, in the sound of a shooting star, which is the sound of the wind blowing inside and out in different places. For the listeners who listen intently and let themselves believe that sometimes nothing is everything.
Our next poet is Vanessa Mancia.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Mencia, and the name of my poem is Am I Invisible? Am I invisible? Because it feels like it. Every second of every day. It feels like I try and I try, but it's just not good enough. People not understanding me, all those feelings I feel, they just don't matter, do they? When I speak, do you not hear it? Every tear you just don't see. All the pain you give me. Sometimes I wonder, if I went away, would you even notice? I'm not sure you would. It's like I'm not even there. I am invisible, aren't I? Thank you.
Oops. Our next poet is Stella Ormrod.
Hi, I'm Stella, and I'm going to be reading my poem. Nature is calling to be set free with some loud and shaky breezes. I excuse help from a witch, but she sees a cursed myth. Bruised, although having so much to lose, shallow swimming deep into the abyss. Fighting to hold your breath and find any flower slowly dripping out like a kiss. Many voids in which you feel like little bees flying around are trying to hurt you. Painful screaming, you wake up to see a smelly room full of weary tears, who have lived there for many hours, free to go back to sleeping good dreams in peace, for everything she has can release.
The next poet you'll hear from is Evelyn Gunn.
Hello, I'm Evelyn, and my poem that I'll be performing today is called Black Man Drowning. Okay. My daddy is a black man, and last night he drowned. My daddy is a black man. He drives down the freeways and pristine paved asphalts of midday. My daddy is a black man. I sat in the passengers. He sat to the left and my siblings behind. My daddy is a black man. So, Did the color lead the St. Bernard in the road to him? I always thought it did, for it sat there, waiting for the darkened hue of my daddy's skin to sink and set into his gaze. My daddy is a black man. He swerved right, the St. Bernard bidding us farewell. My daddy is a black man, for the winds put their heads down and shed tears as my sister screamed into the fall. My daddy is a black man, for the pond that caught us gave me the notion to save my young sisters and brother. Their lives weren't worth water in their lungs. My daddy is a black man. I dove for the boundary of living and dying, my youngest sister and brother in my arms. I thought they could fight their own way out. My daddy is a black man, and I'm forgetting my father is fighting for the boundary as I am. I leave him in the water. My helpless call, "Dad!" rings out into the murky water. My daddy is a black man in the waters of discrimination, the tsunamis of oppression, the impact of the gunshot splitting his brain open, amounting to the fall into the pond. My daddy is a black man, and I don't want him to be next after George Floyd. My daddy is a black man in the fear of the white, fearing his pride and smile, mistaking it for a threat. The bruises on his face, the tears I'd cry, the nights that would hear me, the hate that I'd be filled with knowing he isn't with me anymore, isn't something I'm fine with. My daddy is a black man, and as the daughter of a black man, I write this. And all my anguish, resentment, and vendettas, I write this. My dad is a black man, and for now, and desirably forever, he isn't drowning.
The next poet is Emelin Solano Garcia.
I'm Emelin Solano Garcia, and this is my poem, Self-Prisoner. The prisoner enters a cell, which formed because she did not excel. Perfection is what she is after, although that often led to disaster. Stress is what made her into a tangled mess and caused her to feel worthless. Her name means light while she feels darkness, while she is afraid nothing is harmless. She disciplines herself all the time whenever she commits a crime. When will she ever break the loop and stop being judged by the group? Her heart is large even though she needs to recharge. She cries over the smallest of things and wonders what the future will bring. The prisoner will set herself free on the day she learns to agree.
Our next poet is Alex Leonard.
Oh, this is embarrassing. One sec. This is my poem, Too Long. I've spent too long reminiscing over what once was and focusing on the river of memories. I've spent too long drowning in my own misery. I've spent too long wishing upon a flame, whispering for some sort of sincerity. But I've spent too long shutting my eyes in anguish. I've spent too long trying to grasp my existence to put into a glass jar. And I've spent too long becoming trapped in my own head. And now I feel as if I've spent too long romanticizing impulses. But the surface is near, and I will spend too long working on myself because I will not linger close for someone else to liberate me when I'm able to liberate myself.
Our final poet is Lynette Rodriguez.
My poem is called Rain Sits Miles Away. Rain sits miles away. She walks down the bay with hope in her smile. Flowers feel her touch, dripping on their skin. They all adore her, there's no denial. A sudden sorrow strikes her face. She hears kids chant, "Rain, rain, go away, come again another day." Rain sits miles away. She sinks back in clouds, knowing all well she'll be gone for quite a while.
Thank you, Hommocks Middle School. Wow. You guys are awesome. Wait for our students to sit for a moment. Before we do our little interactive activity at the end, I would like the teachers once again to just stand up and get some applause. Come on, teachers, stand up, please. Thank you. You know, there's another pile of papers waiting for you when you get home. And so I think the least we can do is recognize that you took time out of your weekend as well to bring your students here, and it's no easy task, I am aware. So thank you so much. It's been a hard couple of years, and these events are so important for us, speaking now as an educator and not as an MC. This is a light for us too, and to be back to some sense of normalcy and to be celebrating poetry live and in person is really wonderful. So welcome back, everybody. So I am going to exit, and we're going to do a bit of an interactive activity. So hold on 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. I get to stay here a little longer. Normally I do, so I'm glad that I can do this. So many of you have a little slip of paper, yes, with a line of poetry. And we want to hear from all of you as well. We have some microphones out there. Don't be shy. You see how courageous the kids were. So whether it's a parent, a sibling, a neighbor, just someone who decided to come in and listen to poetry for an hour. So if you have a slip of paper and you would like to read it, put your hand up and we will make sure that a microphone heads your way. Here we go. Wait for your microphone.
In a poem, you can keep things you could never keep in a real museum. Things like a ride on a merry-go-round. You can keep feelings of sadness and joy. You can keep love safe forever.
All right, get your hand up. That was beautiful, thank you. Who has another line of poetry? Put your hand up. There's one in the back. Yeah.
Hi. Poetry is the way we help give name to the nameless so it can be thought. Audre Lorde.
Get your hands up. Who has a nice line?
Hi, everybody. You can find poetry in your everyday life, your memory, in what people say on the bus, in the news, or just what's in your heart. Carol and Duffy.
Thank you. Who else has a line they're willing to share? Oh, right in the middle here. Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Poetry can do 101 things. Delight, sadden, disturb, amuse, instruct. It may express every possible shade of emotion and describe every conceivable kind of event. But there is only one thing that all poetry must do. It must praise all it can for being and for happening. W.H. Auden.
And we have another hand 3 rows back and 3 seats in.
Poetry is the silence and speech between a wet, struggling root of a flower and sunlight blossom of that flower. Carl Sandburg.
Who else? Oh, right in the back on the right, near the very back, yep.
Phosphorescence. Phosphorescence. Now there's a word to lift your hat to find that phosphorescence, that light within. That's the genius behind poetry, Emily Dickinson.
A poet's work to name the unnameable, to point at frauds, to take sides, smart arguments, shake the world, and stop it from going to sleep. Salman Rushdie.
Yay! I think that's probably a really good way to end with that collaborative reading back there. Congratulations to the two of you. Bravo. I wanted to add my thanks to the Mamaroneck Arts Council for having us every year. They work awfully hard, trust me. I think that's my cue this time.
One more thing. Okay, so stay here. We just want to thank her. Isn't she a wonderful master of ceremonies? I told you. Thank you. So,
You're wonderful.
in recognition, yes, for all her hard work, she has a bouquet of roses. And in addition, wait, don't go. So for every teacher, we do have a bag which has in it the anthologies. So in that, Diane, are all the anthologies for your students. So you could meet them outside later, take photos, give them the anthology. There's a treat bag for you. Maybe on the way home, they might need a little snack. You might need a little snack, or maybe tomorrow in school, you might need some goodies. So there's a little goodie bag in there. And for each teacher, we have a subscription to the Poets and Writers magazine, so that you can have that and work with that with your students. So each teacher will have that as well.
Very kind. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Now we want to call the middle school teachers up so we can give them our, if you could just come up to the stage and just stand near the, so we have Homix, if you would come up, Homix teachers, and, okay, and Rye-Neck. So we have each bag is a stenciled bag from the Arts Council with our name on it. So, and in there you'll find, as I said, all of the anthologies and little snacks. And then we want to have Mamaroneck High School. Let's hear it from Mamaroneck High School. All right, we have Maria. You have all the anthologies, I think, in your bag, so you'll give them out based on the teachers. All right, thank you so much. And where is Westlake? Come on up, Westlake. All right, let's hear it for Westlake. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, What a program. We were sitting, listening to the students, and with tears in our eyes. It was so wonderful. Let's give those poets, those young poets, a hand. Woo! Okay, now, you see, Marina is bringing something over here. You're going to have to pick.
Okay.
We have a raffle. So, Anderson's Bookshop in Larchmont, and it's always nice to have a local bookstore, so as much as you can, it'd be great to stop by there and buy a book. But they gave us a gift certificate, a $25 gift certificate for one of our student poets. So, Marina, you're going to dig in. I have everybody's name in there. You can't even see it because it's folded. You can't tell who it is. She is going to pick out one name, and then you will come up and get this. But you have to, if the person has to be here in order to. So you want to read it, Marina?
Stella Amrad.
From I don't even know what school. Stella will have to. Where is Stella? Come on up. Come over here.
Is that it?
Yep.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, just tell us, what school are you from?
Mamaroneck.
Okay. High school?
Middle school.
Oh, okay. You're in middle school. Great. Well, have fun getting a new book.
Thank you.
All right, great. Okay. Then we also would like to raffle off each of these bouquets. So we are going to do another. You're going to pick.
There we go.
And you won't come up, and we don't want you to carry them yet. When everybody leaves, then stay here, and we'll help you get them out.
Okay, the first bouquet goes to Alex Young.
Where's Alex? Alex, where are you? Stand up. Okay. All right, Alex. Great. All right. You'll get that one. Okay, and then?
Alex, you're from Rhinebeck, right? Just letting everybody know. And the next one is Cypress Green.
Where is, stand up, where are you? Oh, all right, okay. Well, and that one's for you. So, pardon? Go ahead.
We want to thank Arcadia Florist for donating these two as
yes, and for the bouquet, for Diane. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, nothing happens in a vacuum, right,
Absolutely.
Marina?
Yeah.
So it took a lot of heads and hands and hearts to make this event today. And so we do want to thank the mayor, the board of trustees, Nora Lucas, who's our liaison, because they supply the funds for us to do things like this. LMC Media back there, thank you so much. And they're live streaming this, so maybe some of your family and friends are watching this at home, and you could watch it on some of the cable channels as well. So, and on LMC, you go to the LMC Media website and you can watch it again. All right, the Arts Council volunteers. Where's Michael Noberto? Okay, thank you. Melinda. Okay, Solange DeSantis, Elizabeth, right here, and Joyce Marie. All right, thank you. Thank the Emelin, Arcadia, of course, Trader Joe's, who gave us all the little bags for the teachers, Anderson Bookstore, and the printer who printed all of this material. And I just want to tell you that Marina did the cover and the program. That was her artwork, her photograph, her vision, and it's just beautiful. Okay, and one more thing before we leave today. I want to thank the parents who raised these magnificent children. Our precious poets. Thank you, parents. And with that, are we ready to end? Okay. Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
See you next year.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't say anything about the concerts. Forgot to say anything about the concerts.